You already know what time it is. Bring you back another Q&A, so post your questions down below. And before we get started, know that these will be done once a month. And for this time around, no B-roll, no fan sitting. I'm just going to talk to you one-on-one as always. Keep it classy, keep it old school, and that's it. So let's see what the demand is looking like. What should I do if I want to bulk but can't eat 3,000 calories of really healthy food? Well, what is the alternative, my man? You can do 2,500 clean, 500 junk, or maybe 50-50, or all the way dirty bulking. The way that I see it, clean eating is the only way. You know that's superior for maximizing your health and results, so why not just put a little bit of effort to find out some alternative methods? Here's what I advise, besides the whole force feeding thing. Liquid meals and possibly supplementation. What I mean is, if you can't stomach all these beans and possibly meat, whatever your diet may look like, just do the protein shakes, man. That's what a lot of bodybuilders do. They do it because they're a lot bigger, obviously, so their needs still the same, but relative to their body weight is higher, right? So you can do the same thing. Why not? So have a protein shake with every single meal. That's automatically going to take care of one macronutrient. And then for the calories, you want to up your fat intake because that makes it so much easier to just get some in you. So I'd recommend nuts and seeds in particular, especially things like walnuts, man. Really pile on the calories. And then oil, bro. Not a health food. Personally, I don't use oil in my cooking, except for some rare occasions, if I really want the meal to taste good and all that. But that would be helpful. Increase your meal frequency. Don't skip your breakfast. That'll open up your appetite. Something I found works really well for me is having a large soup in the morning. Then you just calibrate according to how you feel. So it comes down to a little bit of discipline and finding out what allows you to get the most bang for your buck, calorie-wise. And the final thing I would tell you is, do you really need 3,000 calories a day? If you're struggling to hit that amount on clean foods, which should not be difficult to do, it's possible that maybe not as jacked as you realize. Maybe your TDE is significantly lower. So let's say you only need 2,500 calories to maintain your weight. Well, in that case, bulking with 2,700, maybe 2,800 at the max will suffice. You won't need to hit 3,000. So be objective about your actual needs, and that'll make it so much easier in the long run. Hey Alex, thoughts on 3 times upper body workout and 2 times lower body per week? I have naturally very big legs, by the way, thanks. Well, it sounds like you already know what you want. Your legs are massive, they're very strong, they're not lagging. Well, twice a week lower body is absolutely fantastic. Hell, maybe you can even do once a week if you want to be a little bit lazier. So the way that I would personally train in your situation is Monday, Wednesday, Friday, upper body. You can do a heavy, light, medium setup. And then you rotate the exercises. And then Tuesday and Thursday, it's like your regular upper lower routine. So lower intensity, lower volume. And in this way, you can completely periodize your training. You have twice a week frequency for the lower. Perfect. You're never going to have recovery issues and all that. And then you got the amazing heavy, light, medium for the upper body. Now, theoretically, you can also do Monday, Friday, upper, and then Wednesday, full body. I think that would also work really well given your approach. But again, it depends on what your actual needs are, what strength standard you're trying to hit. So once a week is not optimal, but you can jack up the volume pretty high, still get amazing results. How to combine boxing and strength training? Well, it's quite simple. Just treat your boxing as GPP work, or just do extra GPP on top of it. The best thing that I could recommend is either full body twice a week or full body 3 times a week, heavy, light, medium, or an upper lower. And I would specifically recommend that you include speed work. So using your classic waves, 50, 55, 60, or even lower than that. 30, 35, 40, or 35, 40, 45. With the bands, obviously, because that'll reduce body acceleration, increase your explosiveness, and there's overspeed eccentrics and all kinds of little benefits I'm not going to talk about in this Q&A, right? But start using bands, start using accommodating resistance. And then you can also do plyometrics on top of it. There's a really good book by Dr. Verkhoshansky. It's called Fundamentals of Special Strength Training. I believe that's what it's called. And he gives you the best recommendations for depth jumps, although I wouldn't do that exercise personally. Instead, perform box jumps. And he advised that you do at least 40 jumps a week. So you can do your jumps twice a week on your lower body days or just as a part of a full body setup. Then you hit your boxing 2 to 4 times a week. And if you feel that it's a little bit too much in terms of conditioning work, then you could lower the GPP. But I think that will suffice in itself. Speed work, plyometrics, concurrent periodization is fantastic because you manage volume intensity throughout the yearly cycle and building everything simultaneously. So I think that is extremely beneficial as an athlete. And there are guys prescribing this, by the way. Chest plateau in your novice program, everything else going up. Well, in that case, I would suspect, just given the information that you gave me, is you're not eating enough food. Or you ran some type of bro split in the past that was overemphasizing the bench and just chest exercises. So now you're closer to intermediate on the benching, but everything else is proportionally lagging. That is entirely possible. Or maybe your leverages, you're not really suited for benching. Could be that you just excel at squats and deads. And overhead press, usually the leverage component is a little bit less on that. But that said, the most common culprit is not eating enough food. The bench is the one that is most proportional to weight gain. Like you'll notice this right away as the upper back and chest thickens. Like you're getting a layer of fat that accumulates and then the range of motion is decreased, right? Then you have more cushion for the push-in, as a lot of powerlifters say. So start eating more food, man. Are you in a calorie surplus? Are you really paying attention to your nutrition? I think once you regulate that, everything's gonna be fine. And then alternatively, you could just take a little bit of deload, work your way back up, or just move on to intermediate for the upper body, and then your lower body, you keep doing your classic linear progression. Hey Alex, if my max pull-ups is 11, I can't do 10 sets of 10, would you recommend me to do 10 sets of 5? No, because that's not the same volume, man. You're not equating it in that way. What I'd tell you to do is grease in the groove if you really want to get in a lot of volume. So every single day, you say you can do 11 chins, I think, in one set. Well, maybe do 4 or 5 every 10 minutes or something. Or every hour you could do 4 to 5 pull-ups. How about that? And just build it up like that. I think it'll be much more feasible than what you're trying to do now. That said, there's nothing wrong with 10 by 5. Just treat it a bit differently. Maybe do it weighted. Or just include it as a part of your volume day. Hey dude, love the videos. I've been weight training for about 5 years. I do all my training in my bedroom, and right as I wake up, I do one set of 30, technical failure on the squat. I feel like it helps me wake up. I want to do something in the morning, but I feel my squat is suffering from it. Any advice? So you're doing 30 squats in the morning to failure, and because of that, your barbell back squats are suffering. Is that what you're asking me here? That's a problem. To me, it sounds like you have low work capacity, especially if you've been training for 5 years, because that should not happen. In fact, you should be able to do many more squats, easily over 100 in a day, and still be able to lift some amazing weights. So to me, the answer is very clear. You need more GBP work. So I don't know what type of routine you're running, but let's say you're doing an upper lower, right? Your classic setup. Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday, instead of taking the day off, do GPP. Or do Wednesday, Saturday GPP, then your Sunday off. And then you can do a little bit of conditioning work on the training days themselves. That's definitely the culprit, man. Have you ever used a reverse hyper for hamstring curls instead of hanging leg curls? I've tried all the machines for leg curls, and I don't like a single one of them, including reverse hyper. I never felt like it did me good. Every single time, and you know me, I'm not a guy who has joint pain. When I use those fucking machines, my knees hurt. Why? Because it's not a natural movement pattern. It's not going according to your anthropometry. And keep in mind, I have shorter legs as well, so these machines, not really built for me. So instead, I like glute ham raises, fully adjustable, absolutely fantastic. Nordic leg curls, you can use a band if you struggle. And then the ankle weight leg curl, oh my God, is that effective? In addition to the band leg curl, I do 3. You can lie down on your stomach, your leg curl. You can also stand up, leg curl, or you could sit down, leg curl. I never had a single problem when I do it with the ankle weights and the bands. I highly recommend it. I think you get more benefits as well. It's a natural movement pattern. It's according to your anthropometry. You get the same exact benefits, fully adjustable in terms of resistance, peak contraction as well. Over speed eccentrics, builds a connective tissue. Like, to me, that is definitely the way to go. So those exercises are far superior to any machine leg curl in my opinion. The only machine that I would use is the inverse curl if I had access to it, but you're not going to find that in most gyms. What do you think of using hamstring machine exercise and focus on progressive overload? If my focus is bodybuilding, some of those exercises feel so much more natural to me than regular dumbbell barbell versions. Okay, if you get stronger on those exercises, you will unquestionably get bigger. So if you started off with 1 plate on a hammer strength press and you bring it up to 3, 4 plates, it's impossible that your chest and triceps won't grow in addition to your shoulders. It's going to happen. Now, it may not have the most carryover to your regular bench, and maybe if you go try doing it, you do increase the risk of injury because you didn't build a stabilizers, if you will. And I'd also say from an athletic and just general strength training perspective, this is not the way to go. And I wouldn't recommend that most people train like this, specifically if they're not injured. So you can do that. In the bodybuilding world, this definitely works, provided you get stronger. So that's the key message here, progressive overload, right? But as a barbell, dumbbell, just calisthenics purist, if you will, like, I do have to admit, I'm biased. I prefer straight weight exercises. And although I do incorporate certain machines here and there, it's not the majority of the training. It's really a fluff thing on the side. If you're feeling like you just want to hammer in a little bit more volume, but not beat yourself down. Like, let's say you already did a lot of squats and deadlifts in the workout, or a lot of weighted pull-ups, and your back is fatigued, even your lower back. Well, in that case, instead of doing a barbell row, you could do a cable row. Although some would say just do a seal row. You see what I'm saying? So, not a huge fan overall, but I'm not going to lie to you. It does work if you get stronger. Do you still use the slingshot? I got hurt from bench and was wondering, what do you think? Absolutely. I use it every single month. I use the red slingshot and the bore. Sometimes I'll work up to 1 rep max just with the slingshot straight, or I could do it with bands and chains, or I'll just do it as a back-off thing. Or there's an accessory exercise. So I might do my raw stuff first, and then immediately after I'll do maybe 3 to 5 sets where I'm just doing slingshot, extra overload. I love it because it allows you to protect, okay? It reinforces the proper movement pattern and all that. Like, it really does a great job of keeping you injury free, right? But you're lifting a little bit heavier. And I feel like it benefits me too because it hammers the triceps a little bit more, at least in my experience. So I love it for that, and it gives you great carryover. Like, if you did nothing but slingshot bench, your raw would automatically go up without all the risk. Okay, let's say I dropped all my raw work, and I got my red slingshot bench to 500 pounds. If I did that without even doing a single raw bench, I'd be able to rep 4 or 5 raw easily. Easily. Because it gives you instant carryover. And I don't think people realize how much 500 is on a red sling. So check out Steve Shaw, man. He's been using it exclusively since, 2011? And then when he went to test his raw, he did a 380 or 385, something like that. Pause. So don't tell me that it doesn't have carryover. I've been using it for a long time now. I can tell you for an absolute fact that it does. And the anecdote from other lifters points to the same thing. Hey, Alex, I'm like you, stronger with a suicide grip on presses, and my shoulder recovery feels way better. Is it safe? It is safe on OHP, but is it too risky using it on the bench? How can I minimize the risk? Okay, definitely feel you on that one. The bar path for the elbows, you can actually flare a little bit more and it doesn't hurt the shoulders. And just you get better shoulder recovery as a whole. It's really difficult to explain, but that's been my experience as well. Now, in terms of minimizing injury risk, I can't say that it's safe to bench with a suicide grip in general. I've taken the risk. You see me do 4 or 5 with my ass off the bench. It was a fucking grinder. If that would have fallen out of my hands, I'd be in big trouble, especially since I'm training solo over here. But I'm not fearful because I have safety pins. So in the event where the bar does drop out, all I got to do is deflate my chest, goes directly on the pins. The thing is, my power rack is fully adjustable, and I have a lot of pin heights. And I can get it such that when the bar is on my chest, it's literally like this fucking close touching the pins. So to me, it would be very simple. You just deflate upon reflex, and you land right on it. Now, if you're someone who goes to a commercial gym where the holes are spaced out like big time, if you deflate, you might not have enough time. Like, you might have to really flatten yourself out. So in that case, I might not recommend using the suicide grip on the bench. And even spotters, you can't fucking trust them. You can't. They can and will fail you, just saying. So besides that, I suppose you can have a suspension setup. Look into John Fung. He shows you how to do it with bands and chains. It's like this weird setup that he has, but it does work. So I don't know. Try it out, man. I'm 3 months into lifting. My forearms are lacking due to strap usage, I think. No, you don't think. You know, my man. Should I remove straps? I can't seem to do pull workouts effectively if I remove straps. Advice. 100%, bro. 100%. You made a big mistake using that right off the bat. A complete beginner should never use straps. You wait to use that when you're actually strong. Most novices will never have to do so, just saying. Except for maybe a few select exercises like power shrugs and stuff like that. But even your rows, you can easily do like 5x10, double overhand, 225 row. It's doable. It gets more difficult as you approach 275, 315, then it becomes an actual grip issue. But for most exercises, you won't need it, even for your deadlifts, bro. Maybe till about 275, 315, double overhand, you'll be fine. Then you switch over to mixed grip, there you go, it's all good. Like, you won't have to use straps. The straps are great as you get more experience. And right now, you have to fix this weakness. Remove the weight by about 10-30% and build your way back up and start using chalk as well. Maybe that's why you felt like the weights were slipping. Maybe your hands are just sweaty. Lower back pain during power shrugs, but not heavy rack pulls. Very simple. In a rack pull, you're more stable in the sense that you just got to maintain that tight lower back. You lower to the pins. Boom. Boom. That's it. The potential for form breakdown is a lot less compared to a power shrug where you're actually moving your body. I would suspect is you're taking it to an extreme level by which the lower back is not remaining tight. So you're not just doing a bend shrug, right? You're maybe jerking with your torso a little bit. There's some movement going on. So when you don't have that full extension, if you will, when you're not completely tight, completely rigid, I mean, you're jerking. And that has the potential to hurt your lower back. It makes perfect sense. So I would pay extreme attention to what's going on with the torso. You need to keep it perfectly stationary and just bend your legs, shrug. That's all you got to do. Don't be, don't be moving your fucking torso all over the place. Way too common. I've done that in the past as well. I'm lucky I didn't get snapped up. God damn. But that's the distinction between a power shrug and a cheat shrug. That's why I say power shrug these days. Because cheat is just, you don't know what the fuck's going on. But that's the problem. You need to really pay attention to the setup. I'm 44 novice, done 14 weeks already in a good program. The only lift that I've never been able to advance is the bench press due to shoulder and upper arm pain. I've been experimenting with super high reps and lightweight, and it seems to have made me gains. I've been increasing the reps each week, but not the weight. Any suggestions? Well, that's fine. I don't know what rep range you're in, but I'm going to assume anywhere between 10 and 15. So if you're getting stronger in that way, I see nothing wrong with this. It's possible that you have pre-existing injuries. Maybe you lifted 5-10 years ago and you developed some overuse, developed some problems, and now your age is a factor, right? There could be many things, but I would suspect that the form is the culprit. If you're getting shoulder pain, usually that's because people are not retracting the scapula. Up, back, down. So you're here. When you bench, imagine that you're rowing the bar to your chest. Then you can increase the upper back volume. So I recommend you do twice the amount of rows compared to bench. In addition to a lot of rear delt work, rear delt flies, and face pulls. So start doing a lot more of that. Really refine that technique. Narrow out your grip a little bit. Sometimes it's the fact that you're going too wide. And then if you want to keep doing your high reps because you don't want to go stupid heavy, given your age and all that, fine. Although you can technically go heavier and that would work too, provided that you're doing what I'm telling you. So keep doing that, keep getting stronger, but really pay attention to the imbalances in the form. Then for the upper arm pain, I don't know what you mean by that. Triceps, that's upper arm. Or are you talking about how when you're lying down on the bench, the upper arm appears to be your forearms? If that's the case, then you got to keep your wrist more straight instead of bending it back. So I can't help you with that part, except for maybe doing more band push downs and all that. But the other stuff, try out my advice. Hey, Alex, I have a question. Is it really safe to do behind neck presses, even if you have the mobility to do so? I don't know if you have the mobility. Like, that's what I thought for years as well. I used to prescribe this exercise in my programs until I watched a video by Athlete X saying, hey, it's not a mobility problem, it's anthropometry. The human body is not designed to be in that position pressing. And when I thought about it, I was like, yeah, you may not feel the pain initially, but what about in 5-10 years from now? Or just what about the overuse that accumulates? And you see me go heavy on this exercise. I did 185 for a single. So I certainly thought that my mobility was never an issue, but it's not a mobility thing. It's anthropometry. So I can't recommend that exercise, even though it's extremely effective for carryover and gaining muscle. It's one of the best movements you can do for your shoulders. It really, really is. So that's a damn shame, but I just can't recommend it. What do you think of multiple sets of heavy singles, doubles, maybe 85, 95%, with short rest intervals, something along the lines of 15 to 30 sets of one or 10 to 15 sets of two, basically high sets, low reps, low rest, but with higher percentages as opposed to more traditional lower ones. Keep up the great work and changing people's lives, man. You certainly changed your mind. I'm so honored and grateful to have discovered you on your channel. Well, thank you so much. I'm really happy to hear that, and I wish you continual gains, my man. And I'm going to keep answering your questions, so post more down below. In response to what you asked me, it's too much. You're not going to be able to get away with it. 15 to 30 sets of one at 85, 95%, you're not going to be able to pull that off. You have to use a lower percentage, bottom line. If using straight weight, I'd recommend 65, 70, 75%, 80 at the absolute max. And if you want to use bands, you can do a classic 50, 55, 60 wave. So high sets, low reps are fantastic, but if you're going heavy, you have to increase the rest intervals. You can't be resting 30 to 60 seconds. It'll bury you. It'll destroy you. You're not going to have the strength to pull it off, especially at like 95%. No, I would say it's actually impossible. 30 sets of one at 95%, not going to happen in a million years. You're not lifting at 95%. So if you want to do that, you have to increase the rest intervals and also lower the volume a little bit. So maybe try 5 sets of one at 90%. That's realistic. Not 15 sets of one. It's just not feasible. I recommend you look into classic speed work techniques, and that'll serve you much more. Hey Alex, I saw your push-pull superset video for a detrained strength athlete wanting to return to a beginner 3 times a week routine again after some months of cardio. Do you think the push-pull supersets will work efficiently? Yes. It's basically like training in hard mode because you haven't worked out in such a long time and you're going into it with lower work capacity. So it's pretty much sink or swim at that point. It's going to be very difficult. You'll notice that when you do your second exercise, you'll be out of breath, very tired, and you'll lose more than a rep or two. But if you push through it for about 2 to 3 weeks, you'll notice that you adapt just fine and muscle memory will kick in. So it's a great start. Provided you stay motivated and you got the balls to go through it, I definitely recommend it. Why not? Just don't get snapped up. Don't let the fatigue lead to form breakdown. Now you're getting hurt. Alternatively, you can run a classic novice routine or just a regular setup, and muscle memory will come in and your work capacity is going to increase from that alone. And the fact that you did a lot of cardio beforehand is already a great step in the right direction. So either way, I think you're fine and there's nothing to worry about. But if you want to take it to the next level right off the bat, instantly, okay, push-pull supersets, let's fucking get it. So that's it. That's the Q&A. I thought the questions were absolutely amazing. You know what? Feels good to be answering these one-on-one again. And I'm looking forward to the next one, which will probably be in a month from now. So post more questions down below, and I'll see you around.